Greetings, pen pals. I have a pen here today from a brand that I've not yet reviewed before. This is a Rotring Esprit. This is a pocket pen from Rotring. Now, Rotring is a company that's been around for a while, or a brand that's been around for a while, and they're primarily made not so much for making pens that look like this. They make pens that look like this, that are very industrial looking, very functional, very technical pens. Frankly, they're not so much known for fountain pens, really. They do make fountain pens, or at least have in the past. They are primarily known for mechanical pencils, I would say. They do make ballpoints, etc. But as you can see, their primary focus, or at least what they're really known for, are these very, very industrial looking, very technical looking, very functional writing instruments. They do also make a few things that are just sort of more conventional looking. For example, this is called a Rotring Freeway. This is a rollerball, again, very sort of normal, normal looking, not like this at all. One thing that you may notice that every Rotring writing instrument, as far as I know, has in common is a red ring somewhere on the pen or pencil. Rotring is German for red ring, so that is actually their name of the company is their trademark. Now, Rotring is a somewhat interesting company. It was a German company that actually folded back in the late 1990s. The brand name was bought by an American conglomerate. And ever since then, they've been manufacturing the pens, I believe, in Japan. So it's in a German brand, or a German origin brand. They no longer make pens in Germany, as far as I know. They do make them in Japan, but it's an American-owned brand. So that's my understanding of the current status of Rotring. But we're not going to talk about these so much today. We're going to talk about this pen, which has it's a pocket pen from Rotring that has a very, very interesting feature, which we will get to very, very shortly. In terms of size, it is definitely pocket pen size. Here it is compared to a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan. And as you can see, it is quite a bit shorter than these guys. Again, we're talking pocket pen sized pen. To compare it to some other pocket sized pens, here we go. So this is a Kaweco AL Sport. It's a little bit bigger than that. Here is a D-like brass pocket pen. Again, pretty much the same size as that. Here is a Montblanc Bohème. It's only a little bit longer than the Montblanc Bohème. And here is here it is next to a Pilot Elite. It is just about the same size. Maybe just a tiny bit shorter than the Pilot Elite. Now, speaking of other pocket pens, one thing that pocket pens always have to deal with is, how do I make a pen as short as possible when it's in the pocket, but try to get it as close as possible to normal pen length when the user wants to use it. So one approach sometimes is something like what Pilot does with the Pilot Elite. They make the cap insanely oversized and long relative to the length of the body of the pen. Here you can see on this Pilot Elite, the cap is almost as long as the pen itself. So when you post it, it just grows in length tremendously and comes very close, if not exceeds, the normal pen length. So that's one way about it. Another much more elaborate way about it would be something like the Montblanc Bohème, where it actually has a retractable nib. And again, this is a very expensive pen with an extremely elaborate mechanism, but that is one way of addressing the problem. Another way is to simply not address the problem at all. Something like the Kaweco AL Sport, an ultra compact pocket pen. You post it and it's still pretty darn short even when posted, but again, it's just really meant for taking quick notes and stuff like that. So the Rotring Esprit has a very, very unique way of addressing this. So it has a telescoping section. So when you pull it open, I'll do that again, I don't know if you saw that. When you pull it open, the section telescopes, you keep pulling and the cap comes off, and then you post it and it gets quite nicely long. So here it is. Let's compare its posted length to a normal pen. So here's a Pilot Metropolitan. It is pretty much the same length as a Pilot Metropolitan when posted. And if we compare the unposted size, when the telescoping section goes down, you can see it is quite a bit shorter. So they did actually accomplish what they set out to do here, albeit in a really unusual way. So let's just try that again. So what's happening is the cap is actually not, the cap doesn't snap to the barrel. The cap internally snaps to the very end of the section. So it's effectively dragging the telescoping section out of the pen and then you keep pulling and then it disengages. Similarly, when you go to cap it, you're not pushing the nib. There's an internal cap liner, which serves two purposes. It keeps the nib moist, and also it actually clicks on the end of this very end of the section, so it actually engages on the end of the section at the end. So it's not snapping to the barrel, it's snapping internally to the end of the cap liner there, so that when you go to take it out again, it can drag this telescoping piece out. So that's pretty cool. So let's go over the parts of the pen while we're at it. So it has a anodized aluminum body in this nice sort of light blue turquoise sort of color, which I kind of like. The clip is a nice looking clip. It's fairly functional. It simply says Rotring, has the Rotring branding on the clip. The end finials on the end of the barrel and at the end of the cap complement each other. The main difference is that the one at the end of the cap does have Rotring's trademark red ring at the end. The pen obviously posts, and posting is pretty essential, I think, on this pen. I think it's way too short to use unposted, although of course you could if you so choose. In terms of weight, it's not super light. It weighs 21 grams, which is a pretty nice weight. It's a mostly metal pen, although most of the metal is aluminum. So there is some steel on the trim, etc. But it is decently light. The section has this really unusual wavy motif going on in the section. You either going to love that or hate it, or maybe you'll be indifferent about it, but it is very unusual. It does provide some grip. It's not a slippery section, but this is a very unusual grip experience than you have on any other pen. This is going to be very different for a lot of people, so and might be quite polarizing for some folks. The nib is nothing spectacular, although one thing that is nice is that it does have this little wavy pattern on the nib that sort of echoes the wavy motif on the section. It says Rotring, and this is a medium. It has an M for medium, and it has a ordinary uninspiring plastic feed. I don't believe Rotring actually makes this pen anymore. I think they made these a few years ago, although you can get new old stock versions of it readily available. The prices are all over the place on this, so shop carefully. I've seen 100% variances in the price. I've seen it go for 25. I've seen it go for 50. I've seen it go for 70 even. I mean, the prices are kind of all over the place. So shop carefully if you're interested in one of these. In terms of filling system, unfortunately, this is cartridge only. Because of the way it retracts, I have not been able to find any converter, including like a Kaweco mini converter, which is the smallest standard international converter that I know of, that will accommodate this pen. So it's short standard international cartridges only. However, I don't let that deter me from using my own ink. I just simply use a syringe to refill that cartridge, which works quite well. But just keep that in mind: no converters, or certainly no eye dropping or anything like that is going to happen with this pen at all. Well, that is your Rotring Esprit. Really cool pen with, like I said, a very unusual feature. Two things kind of unusual about the pen: the telescoping section itself, and just this general texture of the section with this sort of wavy pattern. That's pretty unusual. So nice pen that's pretty different. But one thing that's not different, like all pens, it will need to write when called upon. Let's see how it does that right now. Okay, folks, what we're writing with here today is a Rotring Esprit. And this has a medium steel nib. And this writes quite nicely. It has a bit of feedback, but it's feedback that I like and am comfortable with. And it is a nice writer. The other thing that's nice about this, again, I've said this before with pocket pens. To me, one of the main requirements for a pocket pen is that it's a first time, every time writer. The whole point of a pocket pen is you want to be able to take it out of your pocket, jot down the quick thing that you want to jot down, and put the pen away. And you can't be fumbling with it and getting the ink flowing and stuff like that if that's going to be the case. So, given that this is a first time, every time writer, it really fulfills the first obligation of a pocket pen. Now, one thing I will say from a functionality perspective or just a usability perspective, this has got anodized aluminum. This will scratch and probably not look great. So here's a Kaweco AL Sport, also in anodized aluminum. Now, I don't mind this black anodized aluminum getting all beaten up because I think that's kind of part of the charm of it. This one, on the other hand, I'm not sure I would like getting all scratched up. So what I don't actually carry this in my pocket. What I carry in my pocket is this brass D-like pocket pen, again, for the reason of getting scratched up with keys and change and things like that. So I don't actually pocket this pen, but if you wanted to, that's that would probably work out fine. But do be aware that this anodized aluminum is for sure going to scratch if you do that. But it's a very nice, flowing, reliable writer. Hey, before I forget, please make sure you like this video, share this video, comment on this video, and if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. If you would do that, that would be very much appreciated. So that's about all I have to say about the Rotring Esprit. Nice pen. See if you can pick one up. Again, if you really are interested in this pen, shop carefully because the prices on this are kind of all over the place. There's also, I believe when it originally came out, some of them came in like a very fancy box. If you really need to have that fancy package that it came in, you probably would pay extra for that. So if you could probably save a few bucks if you're willing to forego the fancy. It came in sort of like this fancy plastic case thing, which I don't have. So just keep that in mind as well if it's something you're interested in. So that's about it for this pen. Let's talk about this ink for a minute now, shall we? Okay, what we're writing with here today is Noodler's Navajo Turquoise. And this is just a really pretty turquoise blue ink. I think it sort of complements this pen pretty nicely, etc. Like I said earlier, this pen is a standard international cartridge only, but again, I didn't let that deter me from using the ink that I wanted. I simply refilled this cartridge with a syringe. That's very, very easy to do, and works well. And this ink works well with this pen. So this ink has some nice color variation in it, and it's just a pretty vibrant color of turquoise. And I really like it. I don't actually use this ink as much as I probably should. I bought this ink years ago, and I just it's one of these inks I kind of forget that I have around, and every once in a while I'll ink up a pen and I'm saying, damn, I really need to use this ink more because this is really a nice ink that I should not be neglecting. Like almost all Noodler's inks, it comes in these very economical 3 ounce bottles. And is very reasonably priced. I think they get somewhere between $11 and $13 for these bottles, depending where you buy them. So it's a very good value, in addition to being a very, very nice ink. So that's what this Noodler's Navajo Turquoise looks like on this Rhodia paper. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like on Tomoe River paper. Okay, this is Noodler's Navajo Turquoise. And like I said, this is on Tomoe River paper. And looks pretty nice. Again, the vibrancy of this color just really, really pops, especially on this paper. You're definitely getting some little bit of shading and some color variation, which always looks super nice. So again, a really, really nice, really pretty, really vibrant ink that I really, really like, and is a somewhat under the radar ink, at least in my ink collection. So I need to remember I have this ink and use it more. That's going to be my resolution. Well, I think that will be just about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, because I know I sure enjoyed making it. And as always, until we see each other again, have a great day. Bye-bye.